All right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. You guys are watching the first video for Part C on the first lesson. So we are on Systems of Equations and Inequalities, Part C. So make sure your packet says Part C on it right there. You're watching this because I'm either absent or I was absent when I made this or for the class. Anyway, it doesn't matter why you're watching it. You're watching it because we're doing videos this time. All right, so this is the last section of the unit. It's 4 lessons long, so make sure you are getting your stuff caught up, especially your vocabulary if you haven't already, okay? All right, I'm going to zoom in a little here so we can get some definitions and stuff out of the way, and then we'll get going. All right, so we're talking about systems of equations, and we will be solving these by graphing. So you'll learn 3 different ways, graphing being the first, and then substitution, and then elimination, okay? Elimination's the most difficult, so be prepared for that. We got some vocabulary words here. Make sure you're paying attention. They should be at least talked about in here. All right, so systems of equations is a set of 2 or more equations that use the same variables. Okay, this is just like our systems of inequalities, except that instead of inequalities right here, we have equations. Okay, a solution to the systems of equations is the ordered pair, or pairs, it could be more than one, that make both equations true at the same time. Okay? So systems of equations are classified in 2 different ways. The first one is consistent, and the other one is inconsistent, which I guess makes sense. Okay. Consistent systems are systems that have at least one solution. An inconsistent system is a system that has no solution. Okay. Consistent systems can be broken down into 2 separate types of categories. The first is dependent, and then independent. So dependent systems have all solutions in common. Basically, what that means is that when they're graphed, the lines are the exact same line. Okay? Independent systems have one solution in common. That's the point where they intersect. That's kind of what we're used to. You know, you've got 2 lines and they cross over in a point, and that's their solution. When a graph has no solutions, the lines are parallel. It means that they never cross each other. They run next to each other but never intersect. Okay, so here's a flow chart that kind of will help us to kind of keep in order what they are and how they work. So we start with a system of equations, okay? Whether it's 2 equations, 3 equations, however many, we start with a system. From that system, it becomes either consistent or inconsistent, okay? If it's inconsistent, it has no solution, which makes it parallel lines. Okay. If it's consistent, then it can be broken down again further into either dependent or independent. Okay. If it's dependent, it has many solutions. This is like the exact 2 lines that are the exact same. So same exact line. Okay. If it's independent, then it has one solution. This is where they have one point of intersection. And this is what we commonly see. This is the one we'll be dealing with most of the time. Is this a consistent independent system? Okay. So like if you wanted, this is what we see kind of flows this way. This is what you guys are used to. Okay? All right. So flip the page over. All right. So the last, or in this, sorry. This is the wrong page. Oh, it's on the back. I'm like, what the heck happened? Sorry, my bad. Okay. So yours should be on the back. So in this lesson, we're going to learn to solve equations by graphing them. Now this is by far, I believe, the easiest method to solving. Some of you might agree, some of you might not, but for me, I felt like this, especially since we've done graphing lots of times before, this should be really simple to get through, okay? So to solve a system with this method, the equations in the system are graphed on the same coordinate plane. Now remember, this is a coordinate plane right here. Okay, so we graph them both on the same one, just like we did with the inequalities, or the inequalities, only this time we don't have to worry about dotted lines and solid lines. We don't have to worry about shading. Okay, so we're just gonna graph them. All right, so the point, or points, because if it's the same line, it has more than one point, where they intersect is the solution to the system, or they are the solutions to the system. Okay, so this is a really great flow chart. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little so we can see the whole thing at once. This is a super great flow chart to help you with solving these things. So when your test or your quiz tells you to graph or solve these systems of equations by graphing, this is what you should pull out. Okay? All right, so gives you a step-by-step. So when you say, I don't know what to do next, you can look at this and figure it out. So the first step is to look at the equations. You're going to have a system. It's going to have 2, it might have 3, it might have 4 equations in it. You need to look at them all, and you need to decide, are they, and that should say all, not both, because sometimes it will be more than 2. But for most of ours, they're going to say it's only going to be 2. So are they both in the form of y equals mx plus b? Now this is what we call slope-intercept form. Okay. Are they both, or are they all in this format? If they are, then you come over here to yes and go on to step 2. If they're not, then you come over here to no, and you come down to this half step, I guess you could call it. This half step tells you to rewrite the equations in the form of this. This means to solve for y. Okay, solve them both for y. They both need to say y equals something. Okay. Once you get them both into that format, then you're going to come over here to step 2, and you're going to, step 2 says to graph both equations. Okay. Once you've graphed both equations, you're going to come down to step 3. Step 3 says locate the point the 2 graphs intersect. You're going to write it as an ordered pair. Now remember, ordered pairs are in the form of x comma y, which means we're going to count how many spaces we went left or right and put it first, and then we're going to count how many spaces we went up or down, and we're going to put that there. Remembering that down is negative and left is negative. Okay, then once you're done with that, you're going to come over here and you're going to check your solution to make sure it matches and it fits. Okay, so we're going to try an example here. I'm going to try and do it all on this so that you can see I might just zoom out a little. I'm going to try and keep it so that you can see the flow chart and what I'm doing, so it might have gotten a little tiny, but hopefully you can see. Now, really quick before we get started, this equation right here is incorrect. I don't know what happened there. So cross that out, and it should be x plus 2y equals 8. Okay, so make that change. We could have done that one, but we'd be doing like half points and stuff, and I think for our first example, let's make it easy on ourselves. Okay, so step 1 says look at both equations. Looking at both equations, are they both in y equals mx plus b format? Well, this first one is, so we're good there, but this one is not. So this one, I come down here and I have to rewrite the equations in this form. So this one needs to be rewritten or solved. So we've got x plus 2y equals 8. And I'm writing this a little big so that hopefully it shows up better for you guys. Okay, I need to get this y right here by itself. The first thing I need to do is get rid of this over here. This is a positive x, which means I need to subtract it from both sides. Okay? X minus x leaves me with 0. And I'm only left with, on this side of the equation, 2y. This is, you know, the railroad track thing that you guys are always so used to. Okay, so 2y. So down here, I bring down my 2y, and that equals, now remember, these cannot be combined. And because I know that some of you are more comfortable with having the x term first, I'm going to keep it in the x term even though it's negative. So I have a negative x and then a positive 8. Okay. Then my next step is to divide by 2 because right now y is multiplying by 2. So divide everything by 2. Now y equals, remember when there's no actual number in front of the x, it's a 1. So this is a negative 1 in front of that x. So I'm going to pull it out and it's going to be negative 1/2 x. And then 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so now we have this one solved for y. So we're good. We can graph these two because now that I have this done, I come over here and step 2 tells me to graph them both. So I'm going to graph this one in pink so that you can kind of keep track of it. I'm going to graph this one first. Remember that this number over here by itself without the x is my intercept. So I go up to 1. And then because there's no number there in front, it's a 1, which means I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, just like that. And then I take my straight edge or my ruler and I draw a straight line. Now this is another one of those times, you guys, when you're going to want very straight lines because it's going to be hard to see where they intersect if you don't have a straight line. Okay, so there's that one. Now I'm going to graph this one. I'm going to start at positive 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my slope is negative, so it means I go down 1 and over 2. So down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Now I can see right now where they intersect because I just crossed over that, I colored over that pink point that I had, but I'm still going to complete my graph, and you are too. Do not just think that you can just graph it and once you see that, not finish. You need to have 2 straight lines on here. Okay, so now I've graphed both equations. Now I need to look at the point the 2 graphs intersect. The 2 graphs intersect right there. Okay. And I'm going to write it in the formula in an ordered pair form. So I'm going to count how many I went right or left from the origin and how many I went up or down. So I went 1, 2 from the origin in the right, so that means it's positive. And then I went 1, 2, 3 up. So my point of intersection is 2, 3 for this one. Now to check my solution, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these points in both of these equations and it should keep them true. If it doesn't, then I've done something wrong. Okay, so and I'm going to do that in pink so that you guys can see it. So I know that my x is 2 and my y is 3. So for this one right here, I put 3 equals, I wrote a 2, 3 equals 2 plus 1. Is 2 plus 1 equal to 3? Yes, so that one's good. We're good with that one. Now I can put this point down here or I can put it up here, whichever one is easier for you to deal with. I'm just going to keep it right here so you can see it. So I've got 2 plus 2 times 3, and I want to know, is that equal to 8? Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 6 equals 8. So that one holds true. That means that I did it correctly. Okay, that's how you check check the point. That's how you check the solution. All right. So now you guys have an assignment to do. Your assignment looks like, let me grab it really quick. Looks like this. Okay. Now I want you working on this on your own, please. I want to make sure everybody's getting it. So that means that's why I want you working on your own. Stay in your seats. Do not move. Okay, you're going to start here. On the back side are graphs. You need to show your work. So you need to graph these. And then you'll determine which way you should go on the thing. So I'm going to do this first one with you guys really cool. Well, no, I'm not going to. I think you guys can handle it. Remember, like this one right here, if you come over to this one, that one, and this one right here, and this one right here, this one right here, these don't have a plus or a minus number behind it. That means that your intercept is at the origin, plus 0. Okay, so just remember that when there's no number there to be added or subtracted from the slope, it's plus 0, and you started at the origin and go up from there. Okay, I think the rest of them should be okay. I think there's no other ones that would be tricky. Yeah, I think the other ones are fine. These ones I know are hard to read. This should be a fraction like this right here. Oh, sorry, you can't even see that. This should be 1/2 x. I know that they're written weird. It's just the way it came. So, all right, this should be done before the end of class. At the end of class, you will turn this into the bucket. Have a great day. Get to work and be nice to the sub. Be respectful. Pay attention. Follow directions the first time they're given to you. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.